So we saw last week that there were people who loved Jesus, but there was also people who wanted to hurt Jesus. And today we're going to see a little bit of people wanting to hurt Jesus. But then how did God use Joseph to protect Jesus? So we get to see how did God remove Jesus from danger. We're going to start in Matthew chapter 2, verse 13, where it says, "When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. 'Get up,' he said, 'take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him.'" So remember, Herod had asked the wise men to say, "Hey, tell me where Jesus is born. I want to worship him." No, Herod was trying to kill him. And so an angel is in Joseph's dream saying, "You need to go. And stay there as long as I tell you to." So then we'll see in verse 14 and 15. "So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, 'Out of Egypt I called my son.'" So Joseph didn't say, "Oh, whoa, I can't quit my job and move and do all this." He immediately got up, took his family to Egypt until God had said, "You can come back." So God directed Joseph to take Jesus to Egypt. So it's a little bit hard to tell, but they were in Judea, and then they traveled to Egypt. So that would have been a pretty long trip, but it also would have been far enough away that Herod wouldn't have known where he was. So what kind of danger did Jesus escape? We're going to read the first part of verse 16. "When Herod realized that he had been outwitted or outsmarted by the wise men, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and in its vicinity, so the surrounding areas who were 2 years older and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi." So sorry, I went a little bit ahead myself, but so Herod was so angry he found out he got outsmarted, so he got angry, and then he gave the order to kill all babies in the surrounding area of Bethlehem under 2 years old. And so this is why Jesus had to get out of Bethlehem far enough away to Egypt, because otherwise he would have been killed. And then we'll keep reading in verse 17 and 18. "Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. 'A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted, because they are no more.'" So this is just a huge number of baby boys being killed, just because Herod was scared that somebody would steal his throne. So God used Joseph to rescue Jesus from death. How did God keep Jesus safe after his family returned from Egypt? In verse 19 and 20. "After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, 'Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead.'" So Joseph heard again that it was safe to go back. He went back to his home and returned. Reading in verse 21, "So he got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel." So Joseph is hearing all these things, and it's not just easy to pick up and go, but Joseph was being obedient to God. In verse 22, "But when he had heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee." So instead of going to Israel, he went to Galilee, which on the map you can see is still within this surrounding area, but it's just a little bit of a smaller town. And then we'll read verse 23. And he went and lived in a town called Nazareth. So it was fulfilled what was said through the prophets, that he would be called a Nazarene. So Jesus of Nazareth, and we'll see that multiple times through Jesus' life. God guided Joseph to take Jesus to a safe place in Galilee. We see then in this story that God worked through Jesus to keep Jesus safe while he was growing up. All right, going through our worksheet then for today, it's called Family Matters. So it says choose the letter of the word or phrase that correctly fills in the blank of each sentence. The letters you choose will be used at the end of the exercise. So go ahead and make sure that your name is on there. And then we'll start at number 1. An angel told Joseph to take Jesus and Mary to blank. And we know right away at the beginning of the story, he was told to go to Egypt. And we can fill this in as we go. Is that at the bottom? It's going to say, look back at the letters you choose. Print them in order on the lines below. They will spell out something that was true for Jesus and is also true for us. So I know that it's looking at this letter here, so B goes there. All right, the angel said that blank was trying to kill Jesus. It wasn't Augustus or Caesar, so that'd be left with Herod. So then I know that that was an L, so I'm going to put an L down here. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus stayed in Egypt until Herod grew up, retired, or died. Until he died, because that way they knew that they would be safe. A prophecy was fulfilled. Out of blank, I called my son. Since we know Jesus was in Egypt, and the prophecy said, out of Egypt, I call my son. That's an S. So right now you've been filling in the blanks. You've got the first 4, and we need to make sure that that makes sense. Herod realized he had been blank by the Magi. I know that it might seem treated unkindly, but that's not the one that we want. He was outwitted. So we again have another S. Herod ordered that all baby boys 2 and blank should be killed. That one would be younger because Jesus would have been younger than 2 at the time. The babies he killed lived in blank. In Bethlehem, and that's where the Magi saw Jesus, but then they left there. So then you're going to the next word as you're filling in the last couple on your own. So make sure that you're completing the rest of the sheet and then going ahead and going through this. I will help you on this last one because it's a little bit tricky. Words from the prophet blank were fulfilled when the babies were killed. And this one is the prophet Jeremiah. So then you are on your own for these last couple. Make sure that if you need to, you can go back in Matthew chapter 2. If not, go ahead, fill this out. Make sure that this makes sense. And then you are all set to go.